Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. And if you're tuning in on Spotify, welcome back to my podcast. Today I have Kevin. Kevin, how's it going?
Good. Better known as Coach Kevin Kearns, but you can call me Kevin. It's fine.
Okay, Coach Kevin. Would you
No, you can
prefer
call me Kevin.
Kevin?
Nah,
Good?
it's okay.
Okay.
I don't worry about titles.
Okay, cool. So how's life going so far?
Good, busy, different. Originally, if you can't excuse the nasal stuff, it's called allergies. That you kind of like have that stuff when you live in New England because the weather. If you don't like the weather, wait a minute. I'm in Rhode Island now. I'm originally a Boston boy, if you can't tell with the accent, parked the car in Harvard Yard. And I moved down here a few years ago after I got divorced. Just for a change.
Okay. After you got divorced. Oh, how long were you married for?
Let's see, 23 years. So
Wow.
for 30. Yeah.
Wow. Why did it end?
Honestly,
Yeah.
after our second child, she started drinking.
Ouch. Did that put her into PSD or something like that?
You know, it went on for 5 years. She got into recovery, and I don't know if you know. I'm not trying to speak badly of her.
No, absolutely not.
This is just my experience. And what happened is somebody who I knew 30 years just like,
Wow.
changed. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It sucks. I got 2 daughters. She turned them against me. They don't talk to me. So it's been like 4 years. What are you gonna do? Yep.
Ow. Dang.
Come on, Magda. Everybody has a story, right?
We all do. That's why you're here. So we're going to get into yours. We're going to be a little bit nosy. I'm going to be a little bit nosy.
Oh, please.
So how did Kevin get here today? Like, how did you get here?
Ooh. So that's an interesting story. So I am the kid on Amazon that was always picked last. It is the original Karate Kid story, even though they don't know it. I am the original Karate Kid. So if I can use the English, I sucked at every sport, was the neighborhood punching bag, got picked on all the time. And then at the age of 12, this is my dad's rank. He died when I was 12. He was only 48. He, unfortunately, was an alcoholic. Nice guy, just drank too much, ate the wrong foods. He passed only at 48, and I'm 58, believe it or not. And that kind of changed my world. The bullying got worse, and a close uncle taught me to take karate. He figured I would beat up the bullies and be done with it, and I've spent the past 40 years in and out of martial arts. That led to me strength training. I got a real love for martial arts because I learned if you practice, you get better. That led to me, I started bodybuilding, and didn't realize I was strong. Literally, I was like, I think I went from 130 to 155 within 2 years. I'm only 5'7", and I was bench pressing like 300 pounds. Yeah.
Jeez.
I'm only 5'7", I'm about 175 when I'm strong. Well, I'll give you an example, and I'm not trying to be egotistical at all because I could kill us. For my 57th birthday, a client bet me I could push his Ford F-150, 14,700 pounds. I have the video.
14,700 pounds?
Yeah, and it was up a slant too.
You pushed that?
About 30 yards, to 20 yards.
That's
Hence the tattoo.
what does it say?
It's Batman. It's a joke with my daughters. I have one power. I never give up. All my tattoos mean something.
Of course they do. Yes, of course you did.
Did you have some ink there too, huh?
I do. I have a few. I have a few all over my body. Just like you.
So I appreciate that. So the interesting thing, Magda, because you're young, you're probably what, 28?
36.
Yeah, but you look about 28.
Thank you. But I'm 36.
So you've been around the block. You know, you've been there. You've lived your life. You've lived to 36. I mean, 36, and you talk to a 20-year-old, they don't get it. You hit almost 40, you kind of go, I kind of get light. I got the strength training. Never expected. It's kind of weird not to jump around, but I'll go out and do keynote speaking on my book because I'm working on my first TED Talk. I hope I get on. I'm working on that. And thank you. All the support I could get. And it's kind of weird because when I go in front of schools, I teach anti-bullying in boys and girls clubs, local schools, and a lot of times they'll ask me to speak. I'm like, I'll speak to anybody. And they said, well, how'd you get here? What was your plan? I go, my plan was no plan. How did you get here? Sometimes there is no plan. People think success is a straight line. People think relationships are a straight line. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's all over the place. What's that famous painter, Jackson Pollock? It looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. It's all over the place. I got into strength training, met a good friend of mine, Alfred Jackson. We became training partners. Didn't know we're talking, it's a while ago. This is 1986. Okay, it's a while ago. And personal training wasn't a thing. That wasn't a thing. I ended up going into the physical education program or exercise physiology concentration. I was actually taking nursing classes because I didn't know what I wanted to do. This was one of many funny stories. On my other show, I tell a lot of stories. That's a joke. Excuse the nose. And what happened is my grades weren't good enough to get to the nursing program, but they were good enough for the physical education program. Truth be told, I'm working at Bertucci's, which is I don't know if you have it out there, but it's a high-end pizza place. I'm actually, I know for a guy, I know how to cook. Believe me, I'm half Italian, half Irish.
That's good because there's a lot of men out here that don't. But that's good.
I tell them what my rules for dating. I go, learn how to cook. Just learn how to cook. Well, I'm at this restaurant, and this waitress had gone to the same school I went to a year before that. And, back then you had to pick out your classes in the catalog. She says, you really got to take this class, Exercise Physiology with Dr. Thomas, Exercise Physiology 101. Here's the fun part. I'm a sophomore. I'm in a junior level class, and they didn't pick up on it. I went to 1 week of lectures in that class. I switched my major.
And that's how you got. So then after you did that, what else did you do? What was the next step?
Next steps was, I got, my advisor was a great guy, Dr. David Thomas. Lost contact for a few years ago, but he was a great guy. Never really laughed much, but he was a very good teacher. And he helped me come up with a plan. And he said to me, listen, he goes, you're 21. I know you're working in the food industry, but you have to get your resume built in the fitness industry. So I started working at Boston Athletic Club. I became a trainer there. Personal training was just kind of starting out. If you look at Boston, we have an area called Seaport, which is like the new Manhattan. 15, 20 years ago, it was nothing. Parking lots. And now it's like the richest, biggest, it's like the highest price real estate around, literally. Yeah. It was nothing. And that gym was right there. Personal training was becoming a thing, but not a thing. So I literally started training people in 1987. Going into that, I did my internship with one of the first personal trainers in Boston. I liked it. Then I decided to move out of my mother's house because, you want to move out eventually when I graduated. And I had this plan of becoming a police officer and then becoming their physical trainer and having a facility. When you look at regular cops, and this is police officers, regular police officers in the city, they'll go to the academy, but there's no standard to keeping them in shape. I said, well, why don't we have that versus state troopers always have that? My teacher thought it was a great idea. We were going to get an HMO to sponsor it, this, that, and the other thing. And then the night before the police exam, I changed my mind. And then I started my own, I was a personal trainer for this gentleman, Joe and Jimmy on the North Shore of Boston, working for him as my internship. Then he hired me. Then I ended up moving towards my now ex-wife, my girlfriend, on south of Boston in a small apartment. I had 3 jobs. One was taking care of a stroke patient, 3 hours a day in exchange for rent. I started my company literally on a whim. It was her idea. Why don't you start your own company? And I did it. The first company was called the Fitness Connection, and it involved the Berwin Kearns. And
I don't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
No. Go ahead. Ask the question.
No, because you know what I've noticed? Your mindset. If you didn't like one thing, you immediately changed it and you moved towards that. And then if you didn't like that, you immediately changed it and moved towards that. What was your thought process throughout that? I'm like, you just explained it, but for somebody like me who's like, I changed my mind, and is that a good idea? What would you say to somebody like me who wants to change their mind, but just goes back and forth with that option?
It's okay to weigh things in business, as being self-employed. I think you're self-employed yourself. You really need to know how to pivot, and we'll get into my whole UFC background, training fighters and everything else, and then my certification course. When I was doing a lot of certification courses, I would say, to my people, to my potential coaches, if it doesn't speak to you, what are you doing it for? What are you doing it for? I think everybody, you're 36, you're 20 years younger than me, but I'm sure you've had pivotal moments like that aha moment. Exercise physiology, personal training spoke to me. I've been, I've had therapists because of my marriage, this, that, and the other thing. And they said, you get something out of coaching. And I do. I've been doing this for 36 years. Either the universe and God's telling me the right thing, or I don't know, I'm not listening. So, and it doesn't matter whether it's one-on-one. It doesn't matter if we're doing something like this. It doesn't matter if it's corporations. It doesn't matter if it's a book. It doesn't matter if it's a TEDx, TED Talk, or keynote. It doesn't really matter. My DVD, I don't care. If I can inspire people to stay in shape or get better condition, I've won. When I coined the phrase in 2024, this is going way back, 1990, my job, you're not out of shape, you're in a different shape than you want to be. And my teacher told me back then, my professor, Dr. David Thomas, said, your job is to make people feel good about exercise. And when you look at the world now, the country's body fat is gone up. Yeah, if you want some scary, I'm a statistician, so if you want some scary stats, you want to believe the stats nowadays.
Yeah. I think I was talking to somebody about that. I was talking to an Uber driver about that. They're from Algeria, and they were talking about how they make food at home. And I said, yeah, the food in America is it's trash. It's just horrible.
It's trash.
Horrible.
You go to, not to interrupt, you go to Italy. My buddy's been to Italy, and I think that's where I'm going to go. Things go sideways out here, I think I'm going there. And my buddy's been there a bunch of times. He goes, you go to the restaurant, yeah, we got the cheese from this cow. We got, they know where everything came from. And they have a low incidence of heart attack. They live longer. They live healthier. I think that, this is not to knock America, but the challenge is, I think a lot of us, they want the pill. How do I lose weight? Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? If you're going to McDonald's every day, if you're going to Popeyes, if you're going to Kentucky Fried Chicken, all that stuff is not good.
Nope.
And pay attention, read labels. And I think the biggest thing I tell people, it's a trick question, my certification program for my coaches. I'll pose you the question. What's more important? Consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah,
I would say consistency, because I think as humans, we like to, so it's something we need to repeat and do. We're creatures of habits. So we're consistently doing something, we're eventually going to get it, and it's going to be second nature. And that in turn will also develop discipline. So I believe consistency.
Now, I'll challenge you on that. It's a chicken and the egg, because when you become consistent, you become committed.
Yeah.
But then when you become committed, you become consistent. So it's kind of, they're both intertwined.
Ah, okay.
So this, in my mind, it's not wrong that what you said. I never believe in people go, even when I was raising my kids, one of the things that my ex and I believed in, I would never tell my daughters they did something wrong. I'm like, is that within our family values? Is that appropriate? Stuff like that. And anytime I correct somebody else, I don't ever say, listen, I go, that's not wrong what you're doing. I said, there's a more effective, efficient, safer way to do that.
Okay.
Because we have this need to be right, which I've never understood.
Right.
I'll say to somebody, you really don't want to do that because of this. You're right. I'm not telling you to be right. I'm telling you based on my experience, based on what I know. That's why. It's like if I said to you, Magda, you only get a quarter tank of gas that's 40 miles, you're going to 80 miles. You really should fill your tank before you go. You say, you're right about that. No, it's based on experience because I ran out of gas before. It's the same idea, right?
It is.
So, people say, you're right. I'm like, I don't need to be validated. I just try to help you. Yeah. I know a little bit more. I'll tell you this. So that's, it really, this speaks to me, whether it's, like I said, corporate, whether it's schools, especially with the kids. When I go out and do a presentation for an anti-bullying, I mean, I can send you one that I did a number of years ago, 300 fifth and sixth graders. It was insanity. It was fun. And, and I get a high off of that.
Right.
I get a high off, when things were rocking with the, before COVID, with presentations and, trade shows, I would get up there, 200 or 300 people in a class, and I'd go someplace else. I feed off of that. I just feed off of that, and I'm like, and there's plenty of times I go up and I go, yeah, I can tell you some funny stories about that one. I mean, I get plenty of funny stories now.
Okay. Well, here's my question. For someone, I've been out of the gym for I'm back in the gym, but prior to getting back into the gym, I was out of it for about a year, right? So since I'm getting back into the groove of things, or if anybody else is watching or listening wants to go back, what is the number one thing that they should do when they're going back into the gym?
Start.
Besides
Start.
starting, what's the second thing?
Okay. Have no judgment on yourself.
Mm.
I should have done this. I should have done that. I hear all the time from clients. I had a client come back, very successful, came from nothing, was an alcoholic, drug addict. He's got a $180 million company now, this, that, and the other thing. Did the same for about a year, came back, he's gained 20, 25 pounds. I got him down like 50 pounds. I suck, I'm this, I'm that. And I looked at him and I'm telling him he's in a very bad mental state because he's lost his middle son at 23 to a freak car accident. It was just bad. And I said to him, I go, listen, you're here. You called me. That's a start. I think one of the hardest things as a human being, in my mind, over the past 58 years, which scares me sometimes being on this planet, is self-love and no judgment on yourself. That's not reflection, but, I had a yoga mentor that said one day to me, she says, 40 people in class, I think they should call it hindsight versus hindsight, because how do you know until you went through it?
Hindsight versus hindsight. Why?
Because think about it. Let's take the incidents of running out of gas.
Yeah.
How do you know that not to run out of gas if unless you ran out of gas? Is that you being stupid or you just didn't
know?
Okay. How do you know how to ride a bike? You fall down. I mean, when you look, like one of my talks is, imagine taking the 2-year-old brain and sticking it into a 40-year-old body, you wouldn't worry about anything. You get the 2-year-old, he's bouncing, he's climbing on this, climbing on that, bouncing all over the place. Now, if you reverse it, imagine if you took the 40-year-old and put it in the 2-year-old body, they'd be like, why am I wearing these clothes? Oh my God, I'm trying to walk, I fell down. Wait, somebody will push me around the stroller, somebody will wipe my butt, somebody will feed me. You don't see animals going, you see a dog going, I look kind of fat. Just, move, improve.
Yeah.
And you have to have some comedy with this. Move and improve. I hear people, I heard him the other day, he's like, this is a pussy workout, blah, blah. I go, you're here. And think about it this way. The fact that you showed up is 90% of it. The rest of it's all judgment. And I get it. I've done it to myself.
But I think a lot of people have this, with social media and things like that. The gym influencers, the fitness influencers have made people say, don't eat this, don't do that. Make sure in your gym you do this, that, and the third. If somebody's starting out, you know what I'm saying, and they're looking to social media to find workouts, what is one thing that you would recommend for them not to do when it comes to social media and fitness influencers?
Stay off it. Just stay off it. I would say get in the gym, have reasonable expectations. Reasonable. If you can't, and I always tell clients, I go, do what you like. If you don't like spinning, don't go to a spinning class. If you don't like swimming, don't swim. Right. If you love walking on the treadmill, walk on. If you love yoga, if you told me 16 years ago I would be going to yoga 2 to 3 times a week, I would have told you you're nuts. I used to call it yogurt.
Yogurt?
Yeah, yogurt. And I can't live without it. Honestly, I can't live without it. People look at me, they're like, what do you do? Functional strength training, yoga, martial arts. Not matter what. It's usually martial arts, functional training, yoga, but I can't live without it. I need a minimum of twice a week. And it's not, once you get to a certain point, and I think this is the big thing for yourself, and I appreciate you being vulnerable with that question. I think this is a big thing for yourself, for anybody get out there that wants to start a program or get back into fitness, everything else. Make it less about the scale, less about the outside, make it more about this. If I don't work out, I'll go cuckoo. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there before. If I'm having a bad day, I go straight to the gym. And I take it out on the weight.
Hats off.
Take it out on the weight.
I'll hold folk. I teach Muay Thai, I teach kickboxing, I teach knife and stick a little bit, and I'll hold pads for clients all the time. I might hold pads 3, 4, 5 times a day. And you see them in a minute. Because it is a release. Yeah. You go to a therapist, they'll say, get a punching bag, punch a pillow. You get a coach next to you, hold the pad, blah, 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 and you hear that snap, people like, yeah. And now maybe they won't go home and be mean to their kids. Yeah. Or, whatever it is, won't fly off the handle and have a road rage, right? Right. Yeah. Let them get it out. So, and then, you know what? And since you said that, that means you and I, it's going to become an offer. You and I are going to do a couple of Zoom sessions, aren't we?
Huh? What?
You heard me.
Zoom sessions.
Workout Zoom sessions. I'm offering you a couple of Zoom sessions with me. Workout sessions. Right.
I did not expect that.
Let's put my money where my mouth is. You want to try it? Hey, think about the good stuff with this. Showing you working out with your people. Magda Muscle. Well, look at that.
Magda Muscle. That's fun.
How about this one? Here's another one. Magda Muscle time. Look at that. You just sold it.
MMT. That's funny. Magda Muscle time. That's hilarious. You know what? Let's put a pin in that. We'll circle back. Because it's about you.
I know, but I understand that's about you, and this is about reaching your audience and reaching other people.
True. That is
now, you asked me that, what should you do? So you probably sit there wondering what you should do.
I always ask, there's trainers at the gym. I ask questions. I'm like, hey, help me with my form. Help me with this. Help me with that. So I'm always asking questions and taking it.
Well, if I could make your program more effective, efficient, safer, wouldn't that be good?
It would.
There's my clothes.
I'm just saying, it would. Okay, so my question to you, how did you get into MMA? How did you get into, because you were just giving me a demonstration with your sword, and what is that thing again? What was the other thing?
This is a Filipino Chris. This is a training sword. So this is a Filipino sword.
Is it sharp? That thing looks
No, it's a little. It's a training sword. In 2005, my other coach, good friend Steve Whittier, my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach, said, hey, Mark Delagrati is doing Muay Thai at the school in Somerville. There's a bunch of us going in training. You want to come with us? Yeah. Mark and I are actually from the same town. We had met back in 92 when we met another teacher named Guy Chase, but it was the distance for me to travel was too much, but Mark stayed with him and did more martial arts. I went to the fitness side. I walk in, he's like, Kevin Kearns, I know you. And that was it. So I spent, and the gym's called Sit Yatong, which means student of Yod Tong. The great Yod Tong, who's now passed away 7 years ago, was the international conservator for all of Thailand.
Wow.
Now, Fu Toy, his son, has Muay Thai is a serious sport. It's as big as basketball, baseball over there.
Right.
It's a serious sport. It's their national sport. Now, I love it because it's effective. You see it in the world of MMA. Any elbows, knees, low line kicks. It's all Muay Thai. Mark's a great teacher. I've known him since 92. I was there from 2005 till 2010 at least, and then went to get back and forth a few bits. I'm a level 2 Muay Thai instructor under him. So what ended up happening is UFC started taking on. Now, Dana White, back in 2005, is from Boston. So he started getting Boston fighters. I changed over from bodybuilding in 98 to functional strength training. It's all the stuff for the bands and medicine balls. We were doing that stuff in the 90s and completely gave up bodybuilding and went that way. And I thank myself for it because my body's in way better condition to do things that I never thought I could do. Literally. Like I just went kayaking down the Delaware River 2 weeks ago with one of my best friends. I haven't kayaked in 20 years. 4 hours. 4
hours in the water?
Yep. Rapids, the whole bit. Fell out of the kayak twice. Was hysterical. By myself. He in one kayak, me in the other kayak. Drove 3 hours to see him. 8 after we went down the river the whole bit. 8 drove 3.5 hours back and went back to work the next day. Was I sore? Yeah, but I was working out 2 days later. Day later.
How much energy do you have?
A lot. I make coffee nervous. I don't drink any.
Really?
No, not a drop. I drink green tea, some black tea, but I'll probably have 2 cups a day.
What?
People say it all the time. I'm like, yeah, it's just, I mean, but when my girlfriend says when my batteries come up, I'm out. Because my day starts at 4 a.m. I'm up at,
my day starts at like 5, so I get it. I totally get it.
You're an early riser, right? My first client's 5:30. Yeah. But anyway, go back to the MMA. So Mark introduced me to some of the fighters. I was working with some amateurs because back in the day, they were training like bodybuilders. Well, you're not a bodybuilder. You're a fighter.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this going, this is incorrect. So I got lucky, started working with I don't want to insult them by any means. He was kind of like my perfect lab rat for a person, test case. So Kenny Florian was an up-and-coming fighter. And I ended up becoming a sponsor for a while. Now, the big joke with Kenny was Dana White used to say, Kenny looks like the accountant you want to pick a fight at the end of the bar. Most of his skills were more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but Mark was training him in Muay Thai. But he didn't have the typical fighter body. 2006 comes around, he gets a shot at a title, the first lightweight title against Sean Shirk. Now, Sean Shirk is built like me, so Kenny was definitely outmatched. Fought his butt off, the whole bit, bloodbath, the whole 9 yards, loses the fight. Dana still kept him on, and he said to himself, I'm going to make a change. And I was out there helping him stretch the whole bit, and he hired me. Now, when he came to me, he had a shoulder injury, back injury that was really bad, ankle, like I got to rehab. I literally built the program around him as kind of an experimentation, and it went so well. I mean, if I showed you the before and after from 2006 to his fight, I believe it was April against Dokanami Mishima, and it was a high for me. Here I am out in Vegas with these guys. I'm on a team, the kid that sucked at every sport on the team. I used to watch it UFC. I'm walking out to the ring going, is this real? Is this real? And I'm like this far from the cage.
Yeah.
And all the announcers, and it's live on Fox, FX back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, FX. And all people are talking about, the announcers are talking about, it's like, wow, man, look at the change in Floyd. Wow, I already hired a new strength coach. Whoa. That's it. That's literally how it blew up. And it went from him to people like Marcus Davis, Kurt Pellegrino, Daniel Gracie, George Roselle, all these. I ended up training Spencer Fisher, I ended up training 15 fighters. And then the marketing guy and I, God rest his soul, passed away a couple of years ago, said, I got a great idea. I had already done kind of one DVD that didn't do well. So November 2007, he said, I got a great idea. Let's do another DVD series based on your program called Berman Kearns, The Basement Tapes for MMA Conditioning. Now, the fun part is this, and this is another pivot. So if you remember the market in 2007, we had an investor for $25,000 to do 3 DVDs. Now, this is back in the day before you could do everything in this. You had to have a crew, this, that, and that. Now, $25,000 was a respectable amount of money to do 3 workout DVDs and put a fighter in it. Well, guess what happens? The market crashed.
Yep.
Our investor pulled out.
Yep.
And then it was like in me. You know how it's just in you? You got to do it. Went to my wife at the time, and I said, I'm going to pull $10,000 out of the house in equity to do this. Now, even though she was in the throes of alcoholism, she still supported me. She says, do it. Now, think about this. Put this in perspective.
Yeah.
I did 3 DVDs, filmed them, edited them, had 1,000 of each made. Now, 1,000 of each was costing me probably, I got down to like about 50 each. So you're talking about, so take $4,500 right off that. So that means I had $5,000 to play with for filming, editing the whole day.
Yep.
We put them out there when Kenny fought Joe Lozon on my little website back then, and we made our money back in a week.
Wow.
Wow. And then people were like, what is this? And then what I didn't realize, and this is what I always say to people, I go, and I know Stallone's big on this, just ask, throw it out there, you never know. 7, I met my first editor for Ultimate Grappling, which turned into Ultimate MMA, Doug Jeffries. I told him about the weight cut that we did. He's like, hey, can you write that? I didn't say no. I went, yeah. I'm not the best writer. I'm a C-. I went, okay. I'm like, I didn't know what I was doing. But what I learned quickly is if you pass in your article early, they love you. Mm-hmm. So what happened, fast forward, now it's 2008. I was writing for Ultimate MMA. Then Fighters Only, a UK magazine, which was the Rolling Stone, reached out to me. They said, if you're available, available? Oh, things must have changed. I'm available. They're like, can you write for us? I'm like, okay. Didn't realize it was a UK-based magazine. Then I ended up writing for Train Hard, Fight Easy as well. At one point I was writing for 5 magazines.
Wow.
And what I did, this is from Brian Lee. He is another mentor of mine in the fitness business. You don't write so much to become an expert. You don't write to get paid. You get paid great. You write to become, quote unquote, I don't like the word, an expert in your field. That's how the DVDs took off. That's how I started traveling and doing certifications. In 2010, we started going to the UK. One of my good friends and I was in the UK twice a year for 7 years doing certifications.
Wow.
I was on a plane, at one point I would literally train clients, do corporate stuff, get on a plane on a Friday night, come back Sunday night, go back to work. Literally. Yeah. It was crazy.
Energy is insane, man. Energy is insane. You went from like being the last pick to
Yeah. Well,
to be in the first
it's
pit.
well, it's funny that you say that too. And I was talking about this. I mean, I love to get this made into a movie to reach people.
Yeah.
If you want a copy versus audio, I got an audio video where one of my good friends' sons reads it and then interviews me after each chapter. Kind of cool. Or if you want a paper copy, I'll send you a paper copy. And the idea, and I ran the story by him. He goes, "Well, it would be better if at the end of the story you become the fighter." I go, "Why is that better? Everybody's done. Why not suck? I get involved with this thing, and then all of a sudden I'm the strength coach." I think it'd be kind of cool to call is that the word culmination of me walking out to the UFC ring, and then the background going, "Oh man, I've never been on a team. Now I'm on a team." I go, "I think that's cool."
That is
versus, "Oh, now I'm the fighter. I'm the champ." Well, come on, everybody's done that.
Yeah. It's just the whole story of Rocky. Well, sort of.
well, in a sense, when you think about it, in a sense, his first movie he lost.
Yeah, he did.
Actually, first one and second one.
Yep.
Third one, excuse me.
Yep.
You know,
but
and Stallone got Stallone got that idea from the belly-eyed brawler who fought Ali.
Exactly.
So that's why I said, okay, so they're going to rewrite that and say that, and people read that and it's like, there's a lot of life lessons in here. I go, there is. Like,
I mean, you're full of them.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. People teach me every day, and I try to help anywhere I can.
But I can tell, though.
Thank you.
I can tell.
I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. You okay?
No, you're fine. It froze for a little, but you're fine.
Gary Vaynerchuk and the late Dr. Wayne Dyer. My life is about to serve. How do I serve?
Yeah.
How do you I'm a big fan of JFK and one of his famous sayings, "The rising tide raises all boats."
Yeah.
That's why, given the climate now, like, we can just, it's a big joke, and not to get political, I swear to God, I think aliens are down on us and say, like, you guys haven't figured out how to, like, put the racism aside, and the money, and the food, and all this other crap and politics, and just work together. I wonder why they don't.
I say the same thing. I always say that. I always say Earth is ghetto, and I know the aliens, like, I'm not coming.
They haven't got to figure it out. Give them another 10,000 years. Honestly.
Why I say that? I was like, the aliens are like, we are not stopping here.
And throw this out there. My father, God rest his soul, my mother and father never taught me to see color, racial. They didn't care. My parents were great. We grew up in Everett, and we grew up in the 60s and 70s when they started busing in Boston.
Yeah.
My father said, and to this day, I'm 58, and I still remember this. When I was 6, my father sat there with the driveway, and all the stuff was going on with busing and everything else, and he said to me, "Kevy," and he said, "I don't care what race, what religion, what color, I don't care." He's like, "As long as your kids are respectful, you take care of your property, you're fine with us." I've never forgotten that. Never. And it's like, like, why can't we all be like that?
I wish we could, but sometimes everyone wasn't raised the same. You just
that's the problem.
You just gotta take it with a grain of salt. So before we end, what is one piece of advice you would give to anybody watching, listening, that you've learned throughout life?
Ooh, there's a lot of pieces there. Plus, we're gonna get back to you're gonna do the workout.
Kevin,
I have a memory like an elephant.
So what's one piece of advice, though?
I would say this. I got a couple. Wherever you are, you have to have, and it's that tattoo. You have to have vision. You have to have passion for what you want. And the biggest thing that you have to have is perseverance. You got to keep going. And it's not easy. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. I'm not going to tell you it's simple. It's just not. You're just going to keep going forward. And it's hard. Life wasn't meant to be 68 degrees, no clouds, no weather. That's not life. Food in the fridge, water running. Wasn't meant that way.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
So
that was great. Yeah, that was great. A vision,
passion,
and
vision, passion, and perseverance.
I got perseverance on this one right here. It's a little bit.
Go.
It says trust your struggles, because we know that suffering produces.
There you go.
Perseverance, character, and character hope. So
excellent.
That's funny that you have that there, and I have one. God knew what he was doing. See?
God knew what he was doing. You don't have any time in it, do you?
No, I don't even know what that means.
Consistency and wavering belief, discipline, code of conduct.
Is that what you learned through MMA?
That's more from martial arts in general. And then
Okay.
right across my chest over my heart is Sumbam, which was tied for be relentless. Whatever you're pursuing, just be relentless. And I
You
always tell
do
people,
have that relentless. You
I've
have
been
that
told
relentless.
that.
You have that for sure. I can tell because just by
Tenacity.
talking, yeah, you do. You do. Just by talking, and you're pivoting. You are constantly pivoting and changing your mind, and you're comfortable doing it. Like you went at it with no fear. That's just like wow.
Maybe I'm just BSing. I have no fear. I have fear sometimes.
We're not gonna say you do. We're just gonna say you have no fear. Okay.
I have no fear in taking chances.
Exactly. That right there. That
Babe
right.
Ruth. How did you get so many home runs? Because I swung.
Yep.
No regrets.
You did. All right, we're gonna end it. Tell everybody where you are on social before we go.
BurnWithKearns.com. That's my website. You can get me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @BurnWithKearns. I believe my LinkedIn is just Kevin Kearns. Let's see. Facebook is Coach Kearns, and actually there's a Burn with Kearns page too. And then I believe X now. It's not called Twitter. It's Burn with Kearns too. I'm not on TikTok that much. Sometimes I put it up, sometimes I don't. And then YouTube. YouTube is Kevin Kearns.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the episode. Thank you for tuning in, watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell for more updates, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, Kevin, for coming.
Thank you, peeps. Chicago!
All right, y'all. See you next week.